First stop, Monotremata. These are the mammals that never got the memo about live birth. They lay eggs, actual leathery eggs, and that alone puts them in a category of their own. There are only two families here, the platypuses, Ornithorhynchidae, with just one living species, the duck-billed platypus, and the echidnas, Tachyglossidae, 4 species. Now, the platypus is basically evolution showing off. It has a bill loaded with electroreceptors. It can detect the electric fields of the muscles of prey underwater. It navigates with its eyes closed. The male also has venomous spurs on its hind legs. It's a mammal that lays eggs with a duck bill and ankle venom. You really can't make this up. Echidnas are equally fascinating. They're slow, spiny, and have a 4-headed penis. Yeah, 4. Moving on. These animals branched off from other mammals somewhere around 166 million years ago. They're living fossils in the best possible sense. Ancient, extraordinary, and stubbornly surviving. Marsupials don't have one order. They have 7. And together, they make up one of the great evolutionary experiments in mammal history. Give birth really early and finish development in a pouch. Let's run through them. Didelphomorphia, the opossums of the Americas. About 19 genera, over 100 species. These are generalist survivors. The Virginia opossum is famous for playing dead, actually entering a comatose state, but the group ranges from tiny mouse opossums to cat-sized climbers. Pauci tuberculata, the shrew opossums of South America. Small, 3 genera, about 7 species. These insectivores live in the Andes. Ancient lineage, barely hanging on. Not a lot of press, but real charmers if you know where to look. Microbiotheria, just 1 species. The Monito del Monte, a tiny tree dweller from southern Chile and Argentina. It looks like a mouse, lives in bamboo forests, and is actually more closely related to Australian marsupials than to other South American ones. A genuine biogeographic puzzle. Dasyuromorphia, the carnivorous marsupials of Australasia. Tasmanian devils, quolls, numbats, dunarts, about 21 genera. The Tasmanian devil has the strongest bite force relative to body size of any living mammal. They're notorious for their screaming.
Paramelomorphia, bandicoots and bilbies, around 8 genera. Compact, pointy-nosed, and fascinatingly, they have a type of placenta-like structure despite being marsupials, a weird evolutionary convergence. Notorictomorphia, the marsupial moles, 2 species. Blind, underground, and so specialized, they look uncannily like true moles, despite not being related. A perfect example of convergent evolution. Diprotodontia, the big one. Kangaroos, wallabies, koalas, wombats, possums, gliders, about 137 genera across many families. The red kangaroo is the largest living marsupial, standing up to 2 meters tall. Wombats produce cubic feces, literally cube-shaped droppings, apparently as a territorial marker. Koalas have fingerprints almost indistinguishable from human ones. This is by far the most diverse marsupial order.
The order Carnivora doesn't just include meat eaters. It includes giant pandas, which eat almost exclusively bamboo, and some very fish-heavy diets. What unites them is shared anatomy, specialized carnassial teeth for shearing flesh, and a common ancestor. 2 major groups. Feliformia. Cat, tiger, lion, cougar, cheetah, jaguar, all those kitties are part of the same family, Felidae, about 41 species. The hyenas, Hyenidae, spotted hyenas have a matriarchal social structure, and females are dominant. Civets and genets, Viviridae, mongooses, Herpestidae, and the fossa of Madagascar, Eupleridae. Caniformia, the dog-like carnivores. Most of the members of this group have non-retractable claws and longer jaws. First, dogs and wolves, all good boys from the same family, Canidae, about 36 species. Bears, Ursidae, 8 species. Raccoons, Procyonidae.
Mustelids, weasels, otters, badgers, wolverines, Mustelidae, the largest carnivore family with about 60 species. Skunks, Mephitidae, red panda, Ailuridae, its own family, and the pinnipeds, seals, Phocidae, sea lions, Otaridae, and walruses, Otobinidae. Notable highlights. The polar bear is the largest land carnivore. The wolverine is pound for pound one of the most aggressive mammals on Earth. The cheetah is the fastest land animal at 112 kilometers per hour.
Proboscidea, just one family, Elephantidae, 3 living species. One genera that has the African savanna elephant and the African forest elephant, and other genera of only the Asian elephant. These are the largest living land animals, with brains that show remarkable cognitive abilities, tool use, self-recognition, mourning their dead. Their tusks are modified incisor teeth. They can communicate through infrasound, vibrations too low for us to hear. Sirenia, manatees and dugongs, 4 species, 3 genera. Fully aquatic herbivores, the sea cows. They're slow-moving, they graze on seagrass, and they were historically mistaken for mermaids by exhausted sailors. Their closest living relatives are elephants and hyraxes. Artiodactyla, 130 genera, 270 plus species. Hoofed mammals with an even number of toes. Pigs, hippos, camels, deer, giraffes, cattle, sheep, goats, antelopes, and, as we now know, whales. Modern taxonomy often merges Cetacea and Artiodactyla into Cetartiodactyla for this reason, but for now we are going to explain them separately. Key families. Suidae, pigs, 5 genera. Pigs are among the most intelligent domestic animals. Hippopotamidae, 2 species. Semi-aquatic, highly territorial, responsible for more human deaths in Africa than lions. Camelidae, camels, llamas, alpacas, vicuñas, 3 genera. Humps store fat, not water. Cervidae, deer, about 19 genera. Only the reindeer has antler-growing females. Bovidae, cattle, buffalo, sheep, goats, antelope, the largest family here, about 140 genera. Giraffidae, giraffe and okapi. The giraffe's neck has the same 7 cervical vertebrae as most mammals, just much, much longer. Tragulidae, chevrotains, the smallest hoofed mammals, about the size of a rabbit. Ruminants in this group have a 4-chambered stomach to extract maximum nutrition from plant material by fermenting and re-chewing their food. That's what chewing the cud means. Perissodactyla, 6 genera, 17 species. 3 families. Equidae, horses, zebras, asses, all in one genus, Equus. Horses were domesticated about 5,500 years ago and arguably changed human civilization more than any other animal. Rhinocerotidae, 4 genera, 5 species, all threatened or endangered. The white and black rhinos in Africa and 3 Asian species. Their horns are made of compressed keratin, not bone, and they're poached to the brink of extinction for traditional medicine markets. Tapiridae, 1 genus, 5 species. Tapirs look like a pig designed by someone who also had elephants in mind. Their flexible, prehensile snout is actually a short trunk. They're among the most ancient-looking mammals alive, barely changed from 50 million years ago. Pelosa, sloths and anteaters. Sloths, families Bradypodidae and Cholopedidae, are the famously slow arboreal mammals. Their slowness isn't laziness, it's a metabolic strategy. They have one of the lowest metabolic rates of any mammal. Their fur even hosts its own ecosystem, including green algae and moths. Anteaters, Myrmecophagidae, have no teeth at all. They swallow insects whole and grind them in a muscular stomach. The giant anteater can eat 35,000 ants or termites in a single day. Pelosa also includes the extinct ground sloths, some as big as elephants, that went extinct around 10,000 years ago. Cingulata,
Armadillos, 2 families, about 9 genera. Their armor is made of bony plates called osteoderms, covered in keratin. The 9-banded armadillo always gives birth to 4 identical quadruplets. They're also the only non-human animal that can naturally contract leprosy.
Eulipotyphla, 53 genera, 450 plus species. Hedgehogs, shrews, moles, and solenodons. These are the insectivores, though the name Insectivora has been retired as a formal group because it was not evolutionarily accurate. Eulipotyphla is what's left after cleaning that up. Shrews, Soricidae, are the most species-rich family here, around 400 species. They have one of the highest metabolic rates of any mammal and must eat nearly constantly to survive. Some have venomous saliva. The Etruscan shrew, Suncus etruscus, is the world's smallest mammal by mass, weighing just about 1.8 grams. Moles, Telpidae, are built for digging. Shovel-shaped forelimbs, reduced eyes, velvety fur that lies flat in any direction so they can reverse through tunnels. The star-nosed mole has 22 fleshy tentacles on its nose, each covered in sensory receptors. It's the fastest-eating mammal on Earth. Hedgehogs, Erinaceae, around 17 species, are covered in modified hairs that form spines and can roll into a defensive ball. They're also surprisingly resistant to certain venoms.
Chiroptera. Bats, the only mammals that truly fly, and they're extraordinary at it. Chiroptera is the second most species-rich order of mammals after rodents, with around 200 genera and over 1,400 species, divided into 2 suborders. Yinpterochiroptera includes the Old World fruit bats, Pteropodidae, flying foxes with wingspans up to 1.7 meters, plus several families of echolocating bats in Asia and Africa. Yangochiroptera covers most of the echolocating bat diversity. Horseshoe bats, Rhinolophidae, free-tailed bats, Melocidae, Vesper bats, Vespertilionidae, the largest bat family with nearly 500 species. The leaf-nosed bat, Philostomidae, the most ecologically diverse bat family with food groups as varied as fruit, nectar, pollen, insects, frogs, other bats, small vertebrates, and even blood. There are also many other families, but it's impossible to fit them all in this video. Echolocation in bats is one of the most sophisticated biological sonar systems known. Some species can detect an object the width of a human hair in complete darkness. Vampire bats, only 3 species that live in the Americas, are the only mammals that feed exclusively on blood. They have heat-sensing pits on their noses to find veins and anticoagulants in their saliva. Bats are also crucial pollinators and seed dispersers. Many tropical plants are entirely dependent on them.
Primates, 80 genera, 500 species. Primates are us and our closest kin. The order is defined by forward-facing eyes, giving depth perception, grasping hands, often with opposable thumbs, relatively large brains, and a general shift toward intelligence over speed or armor as a survival strategy. The order splits into Strepsirini, lemurs, lorises, and galagos. About 25 genera of lemurs alone, found only in Madagascar. Lorises are the only venomous primates. They lick a gland on their arm and combine the secretion with saliva to produce a toxic bite. Haplorini, tarsiers and the simians. Tarsiers, Tarsiidae, are tiny nocturnal with enormous eyes fixed in their skulls. They can rotate their heads 180 degrees to compensate. Simians split into New World monkeys, Platyrini, about 20 genera, including spider monkeys and howler monkeys, and Old World monkeys plus apes, Catarrhini. The apes, gibbons, orangutans, gorillas, chimpanzees, bonobos, and humans, make up family Hominidae and Hylobatidae. Chimpanzees and humans share roughly 98.7% of their DNA. Gorillas are the largest living primates. Orangutans are the most solitary of the great apes. And humans, well, we're the ones making the nature videos.
Rodentia, 440 genera, 2,300 plus species. That's impressive.
That's about 40% of all mammal species. Rodents. If mammals had a dominant group, this is it. They're on every continent except Antarctica, in habitats from deserts to rainforests to Arctic tundra. The defining feature? A single pair of ever-growing incisor teeth that they must constantly gnaw to keep from growing too long. The incisors are self-sharpening, harder enamel on the front, softer dentine behind. Key families include Muridae, rats, mice, gerbils, the largest mammal family, 700 species. Scuridae, squirrels, chipmunks, marmots, prairie dogs, Scuridae about 285 species. Chryseidae, hamsters, voles, lemmings, New World mice, 600 plus species. Caviidae, guinea pigs, maras, the capybara. The capybara is the largest rodent alive, up to 66 kilograms. Hystriceidae, Old World porcupines, and Erythozontidae, New World porcupines. Castoridae, beavers, nature's engineers, creating wetland ecosystems through dam building. Bathyergididae, mole rats, includes the naked mole rat, a eusocial mammal that lives in colonies with a queen, like ants, and is remarkably resistant to cancer and almost completely insensitive to certain types of pain. The diversity here is staggering, from a 6-gram harvest mouse to a 66-kilogram capybara.
Lagomorpha. Rabbits, hares, and pikas. Often confused with rodents, but they're a distinct group. They have 4 upper incisors instead of 2. There's a small peg tooth behind each main one, and they're strictly herbivorous. 2 families, Leporidae, rabbits and hares, about 30 genera, and Ocatonidae, pikas, 1 genus, about 30 species. Pikas are small, round, and live at high elevations. They're often called the bellwethers of climate change because they're heat sensitive and their mountain habitats are shrinking. They don't hibernate. Instead, they spend summer building hay piles to eat through winter. Rabbits are famous for cecotrophy, eating a special type of soft fecal pellet directly from their anus to extract more nutrients from plant material. Essential, not optional.
Cetacea, whales, dolphins, and porpoises, fully aquatic mammals descended from land-dwelling ancestors. Their closest living relative? The hippopotamus. 2 suborders. Mysticidae, baleen whales. 4 families, about 15 species. No teeth, instead they have plates of baleen, made of keratin, for filter feeding. The blue whale is the largest animal ever known to have existed, up to 30 meters long, 150 metric tons. Humpbacks are famous for their complex songs. Fin whales produce the lowest frequency sounds of any animal. Odontocidae, toothed whales, dolphins, and porpoises, about 35 genera. Include sperm whales, the largest toothed animal, able to dive to 3,000 meters. Killer whales, which are actually the largest dolphins. Bottlenose dolphins, narwhals, whose horn is actually an elongated tooth. Beluga whales, and river dolphins. Cetaceans echolocate using a fatty organ in their head called the melon and navigate, hunt, and communicate with extraordinary sophistication. Orcapods have distinct cultures and dialects passed from mother to offspring.
Hyracoidea, the hyraxes. 1 family, 4 genera, about 5 species. They look like stocky rodents, but their closest relatives are elephants. Rock hyraxes live in colonies on rocky outcrops across Africa, and they have a sophisticated vocal communication system. They even have regional dialects.
Tubula dentata, just 1 species, the aardvark, literally its own order. A nocturnal, termite-eating, pig-snouted mammal with no living close relatives. It can close its nostrils to keep insects out while feeding. Evolutionary loner, absolute icon. Afroinsectivora. This order covers some of Africa's most underrated mammals: tenrecs, golden moles, and elephant shrews, also called sengis. Tenrecs, family Tenrecidae, about 34 species across 10 genera. Golden moles, Chrysochloridae, are completely blind.
about 21 species. Elephant shrews, or sengis, are small, but they're built for speed. They're actually more closely related to elephants than to true shrews, roughly 20 species across 4 genera.
Pholidota, pangolins, the most trafficked mammals on Earth. One family, Mannidae, 8 species across Asia and Africa. They're entirely covered in overlapping scales made of keratin, the only mammals with this feature. Despite looking superficially like armadillos or scaly anteaters, pangolins are actually most closely related to carnivora.
Scandentia, small, squirrel-like, hyperactive mammals from Southeast Asian forests. They have very high metabolic rates and large brains relative to body size. In fact, they have one of the highest brain-to-body ratios of any mammal, which is why they've been used as models in neuroscience research.
Dermoptera. Colugos, also called flying lemurs, though they're not lemurs and they don't actually fly. They glide. They have a large membrane, patagium, that extends from neck to fingertips to toes to tail tip, making them the most capable mammalian gliders. They can travel over 100 meters in a single glide with minimal altitude loss.
As always, thanks for watching.